Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we're taking a look at the Buffalo Sabres today, and as well as a couple of other teams, as we are doing an update on the restricted free agent signings around the NHL. The Detroit Red Wings got in on the action. The Carolina Hurricanes as well. We'll be taking a look at all that in this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. And let's take a look at some of these restricted free agent signings. Alright, so before we get too far into things, I want to give a quick plug to our Instagram and Twitter handles at goalline_hockey. Links will be in the description down below, as well as throughout the video. And make sure to check out our Patreon. You can pay as little as $5 a month or as much as $20 a month for exclusive content on there, weekly podcasts. I'm looking at different things that I want to do on there as well, possibly about learning hockey and things like that, growing the sport. So if you are interested in that kind of content, make sure to check that out. Links will be in the description down below. All right, so with that out of the way, we're going to start things up in Buffalo, as I've got the Sabres jersey on, fittingly for a reason. And by the way, happy Halloween, guys. Very exciting that we are at this time of year, and feels a little bit weird this year, but I guess it's the year 2020, so anything that would normally be weird is normal this year. But anyway, that's besides the point. So the Buffalo Sabres, a couple of big restricted free agent signings. As the Buffalo Sabres, starting things off last week, we saw them re-sign center and right winger Sam Reinhart to a 1-year, $5.2 million contract. Now, I think this is a good signing by the Buffalo Sabres. Sam Reinhart is one of those guys, and if you check out our podcast, which we did a couple days ago, we talked about him a little bit in that podcast. Through his seasons with Buffalo, his point production has increased every season. 42 points his first season, 47 points, 50 points, 65 points. And now remember, this was only they only played 69 games this year, but he had 50 points in those 69 games this season. He has 255 points in his 400-game NHL career. Former 2014 second overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres. He's a very solid player, and he's one of those guys that, he's been making 3.65 for the past couple of seasons in his bridge deal. And because of this year and the fact that teams aren't going to be signing long-term contracts right now, unfortunately, Sam Reinhart only gets 5.2. But that means in his next deal, next year, he could make even more as long as he continues to produce. Seems about right. He's only 24 years old. He fits in on the Buffalo Sabres second line very nicely with Jeff Skinner and Eric Stahl. And he's a big piece of this Buffalo Sabres team. Good move by the Sabres. Now, another guy that we're looking at is Buffalo Sabres goaltender Linus Ullmark. Linus Ullmark signs a 1-year, $2.6 million contract. Now, this is a good move by the Sabres as well. Linus Ullmark is their starting goaltender moving forward into this season and beyond that. Linus Ullmark is the guy. They have Carter Hutton as the other option, but he is a backup at this point. The Buffalo Sabres definitely see something in Linus Ullmark. He's 27 years old, former 6th-round pick back in 2012. His career average numbers in the NHL are pretty solid. A goals against of a .281 and a save percentage, which is respectable at .911. So, Linus Ullmark is one of those guys that he's a big body. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. He's the kind of guy that the Buffalo Sabres want in between the pipes. And the Swedish native, a very solid goaltender. He's been one of those guys that even throughout all of the stuff that the Sabres have been through over the past couple of seasons, upsetting, disappointing seasons, he's always seemingly been a bright spot for the Buffalo Sabres. And I would expect that to continue moving forward. He signs a 1-year deal. He'll be 28 at the conclusion of this contract. So he's going to he's going to be going into his prime. We'll see how that works out for Linus Ullmark and the Sabres. Now, we're not done with the Sabres just yet, as the Buffalo Sabres have also signed forward Victor Olofsson to a 2-year, $6.1 million contract. Now, this is a good contract for Victor Olofsson. Obviously, for the fact that it has some kind of term on it. It's a 2-year contract, which a lot of these guys, it's 1-year deals. The Swedish native, former 7th round pick in 2014. He had 42 points last season in 54 games with the Buffalo Sabres. And he is just a solid player. Victor Olofsson is one of those guys that it's kind of weird because Victor Olofsson is one of those guys where he fits in really nicely with their top line that they have built. He is really going to benefit from their new group because now you've got Taylor Hall, you have Jack Eichel, and Victor Olofsson, who Victor Olofsson throughout most of last season was considered to be in the running for the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. Now, obviously, he had some issues with injuries throughout the season, and that held him back a little bit. And let's also not forget the fact that the Sabres really stunk at the end of last season. So it just makes sense that that ended up happening. Now, this is interesting. Now, I've looked at the updated lines here on Daily Faceoff, and now they have Sam Reinhart going down to the third line, Dylan Cousins on the second line with Stahl and Skinner, and then you've got Olofsson, Eichel, and Hall in the top 6. So I'm sure that's pretty interchangeable at this point. I guess we'll have to wait and see what Ralph Kruger is going to do with this group. Based off of how things ended last season with Sam Reinhart, I wouldn't be terribly shocked if we even saw him on the third line going into this year, but that's besides the point. The Buffalo Sabres look very solid, and now you've solidified that top 6, and I think a lot of you Buffalo Sabres fans, a lot of you are either very happy about it, or even some of you that are optimistic. It's a weighted optimism. It's I'm happy he's here, but it's a 1-year deal, and who knows, if this is going to be the difference maker, because it seems like every year it's been this guy, or Jeff Skinner was going to be the difference maker, or this guy, and it just hasn't worked out. And it's been the guys that you really aren't talking about for the Sabres, the guys like Eric Stahl, who I think will contribute this year. Victor Olofsson, former 7th round pick, and I think Rasmus Dahlin has to continue and take another step forward. That would be huge for the Sabres. You look at their defense, you added Colin Miller. Everybody forgets that. Colin Miller is a solid defenseman. He will add something to the Sabres team. And I loved Brandon Montour with the Anaheim Ducks. I think he's a really good guy. And in that top 4 pairing with Rasmus Ristolainen, we all forget about him as well for some reason. That's a really solid top 4 for the Buffalo Sabres. And they have a legit chance this year. As if Linus Ullmark gets hot, watch out for the Buffalo Sabres in that Atlantic Division this year. All right, so we've talked about the Sabres enough. The first 7 minutes of this video have been about the Sabres, so we're going to look at some other teams. Now, we already talked a little bit about the Colorado Avalanche re-signing a left-shot defenseman, Devin Taves, to a 4-year, $16.4 million contract. Now, this is a good contract for Devin Taves in the fact that he gets some term on his deal, which a lot of guys around the league are not getting those long-term deals. And he gets it for a healthy cap hit as well at 4.1. The Abbotsford native, 26 years old, for a defenseman, put up 28 points last season in 68 games under Barry Trotz, which is pretty impressive. The former 2014 4th-round pick is going to be a big contributing factor to that blue line that the Avalanche have created, and makes the loss of Nikita Zadorov not hurt as much as they added Brandon Saad in that Blackhawks deal. So Devin Taves coming into the fold, a really good move by Joe Sakic and the Colorado Avalanche. Now, we move up to Detroit, as they haven't made any huge moves this offseason. It's been more, they bring in Thomas Greiss from the New York Islanders in free agency. They make some little moves here and there, bringing in Bobby Ryan, who I think a lot of you Red Wing fans are very excited about Bobby Ryan, and I would be too. He looks very solid, and obviously with everything he's been through, he'd be a very nice leader in that locker room for the Detroit Red Wings as they rebuild. The left wing, right winger, Tyler Bertuzzi is the guy we're going to look at today, though. 1 year, $3.5 million contract for Tyler Bertuzzi. Now, Bertuzzi actually surprised me when I looked at his numbers. He is a legit stud. Former 2nd-round pick. He's got the amazing smile. He's got teeth missing and everything. He's an absolute hockey guy. First season in the NHL, 39 points. That's his penalty minutes. 24 points in his first 48 games in the NHL. Since then, he's got 47 and 48 points in consecutive seasons. Tyler Bertuzzi, he looks like a legit package. He's 25 years old, just getting into his NHL prime. And the Detroit Red Wings desperately need a guy like Bertuzzi, especially next season as they continue this rebuilding process. He is on the top line with Larkin and Mantha. No surprises there. But this is a very different Red Wings team. Nemesnikov coming in. Zadina continuing to develop. And Bobby Ryan. Robbie Fabry, who they picked up last year. Sam Gagner. On the defensive side of things, they brought in John Merrill and Troy Stetcher, as well as Mark Stahl, taking on the final year of his contract. So the Detroit Red Wings are a very different team. You've got Thomas Greiss, who they added as their goaltender. So it's very exciting to see what the Red Wings look like moving forward. Signing Tyler Bertuzzi this year was a must. He's going to get a nice contract, I think, next year, as long as things continue to move forward for the Red Wings. Now, remember, he's getting 50-plus points a season. Yes, he's playing with Dylan Larkin. Yes, he's getting more minutes than the other guys. But he's still playing on the Detroit Red Wings, who are one of the worst teams in NHL history last year. So, pretty solid numbers for Tyler Bertuzzi. All right, so now we're looking at the Carolina Hurricanes. Hayden Fleury. Hayden Fleury signs a 2-year, $2.6 million contract. I like this deal very much for the Carolina Hurricanes for a couple of reasons. And one of the main reasons is he is a good bridge defenseman until they get some of their other guys. And I talked about this in the podcast, but specifically, we're looking at Jake Bean and Roland McEwen coming to the Carolina Hurricanes over the next couple of seasons. He fits in on that right shot, but he will be one of those guys that he will eventually get replaced in that Hurricanes defense, and they've got a pretty stacked defense. I mean, you look at what they have already, it's a really good group there. I mean, you look at what they've got up front, definitely continuing to develop that. They could use another star forward, but Svechnikov and Aho is a pretty good lethal combo. But defense, you got Jacob Slavin, Dougie Hamilton, Brady Shea, Brett Pesce, Hayden Fleury, and Jake Gardner. So you've got a pretty solid defensive pair. And like I mentioned, I didn't even talk about guys like Gustav Forsling, Roland McEwen, and Jake Bean, who are hoping to get into that roster. Maybe not this season, maybe this season. But over the next couple of years, they will be starting to take over for the New York Rangers, for the Carolina Hurricanes. I really like that for the Detroit Red Wings. I think it's time to end this video. The Carolina Hurricanes. So guys, let me know in the comment section down below which one of these signings was the biggest signing so far in the restricted free agent market. We still have some pretty big names out there. Detroit still has Anthony Mantha, Ryan Strome, Ryan Pollock for the New York Islanders, Matt Barzal, the leading point producer out of this RFA class. Guys like Vladislav Gavrikov, Jonathan Dahlen from San Jose. So, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween.